Hello, everyone, and happy 2026. I want to do a video for you. I do these every year. I have since I started my channel with a end of the year recap, and that includes screen shares showing you my exact numbers. And I do in my what solds tell you the amount of profit that comes from each sale, but I'm going to show you the whole year end, and the eBay fees alone are absolutely insane. So for those of you wondering, okay, this 90-day total is $50,000. What of that is really profit? I'm going to do it for the whole year. I will show you how much I had in sales. I'll compare it to 2024. We'll do the whole year of 2025 compared to 2024. We also will look at the breakdown. So what costs were eBay fees? What of those fees were promoted fees? Because I do promote everything. I will also go over with you what my shipping costs were, primarily on eBay, but I'll also show you some graphs from Poshmark and Mercari. And then I am going to use my sales analytics chart from List Perfectly to show you what percent from each platform made up my sales for the year. So we did absolutely wonderful. However, there are a lot of fees. So yes, those 90-day totals look great. The sales charts look great, but how much of that was really profit? And I will talk to you about that. I also have payroll, so that is something to talk about. And I'll go ahead and just tell you guys, my sales were down in 2025 from 2024. I will tell you why. I'm pretty sure I know why it is, but I will go ahead and talk with you about that as well. And then what I'm going to do in the next video is talk with you about my goals for this year and what I want to change, what I want to improve, what we might start doing, what we're going to stop doing, and just go through all of that with you on the next video. So this video is going to be a recap, and then we will go over my goals in the next video. And I'm going to show you all of the numbers, and you can see how much I actually make. I am going to start off. We're going to go into List Perfectly, the Sales and Analytics tab, which has become my favorite place to go there and List Perfectly. And I will show you the chart for this year. I wrote down the numbers for last year, so I'm going to tell you what those are as well, so you can see what the difference was between 25 and 24. And then we will look at eBay, at Poshmark, Mercari, as well as Etsy. And Etsy and Posh don't have a ton, neither does Mercari. eBay, though, however, has a lot of information. And I think these are going to be really good tools for you because you can use these daily, you can use them monthly. They're great for these end of year recaps to kind of take a look inside of your business and see exactly how it is performing. I absolutely love the Sales and Analytics tab here on List Perfectly. It's another benefit you get more than just cross-posting. So here you can see eBay is by far our biggest seller, and we did $160,600 on eBay this year, which was 63% of our sales. And in 2024, we did $168,000. So we actually are down by $8,000 on eBay. And then Whatnot and our live sales, which we did not do the whole year, but we still sold $50,000. Almost 20% of our sales came from Whatnot. And in 2024, it was actually very comparable. We did 51,000. So those were pretty neck and neck between the 2 years. And then third is going to be Poshmark. We did 22,000, 8.6% of our sales. And on Poshmark in 2024, we did 20,000. So Poshmark was actually increased by about $2,000. On Etsy, we did 13,500, which is 5% of our sales. Now, Etsy is a big difference because in 2024, the majority of the year, I had stopped listing on Etsy. So in 2024, we only did 1.7 thousand on Etsy. very low. We had not really been selling. I think I started back in November of 24. So that is increasing. And those sales throughout the year have been increasing as well. And then last place is Mercari, which is only 2.83% of sales. We did 71.77. And that is also down from 2024. We did 8.5 on Mercari. So Mercari, it's hard for me because yes, it's only, you know, just shy of 3% of sales, but that's $7,000 that I wouldn't have made had I not been listing on Mercari. So that's been kind of at the top of my mind, whether I want to keep listing on Mercari. It has been the lowest in sales now for multiple years. I would love to hear your input. Do you think that you would keep selling it if it's that low of a percent, even though, again, that's over $500 a month? That's not a tiny amount. So I'm on the fence on whether or not we will continue selling on Mercari. And then Depop, you can't even see on the graph. I just started that in December. We only sold 132. And honestly, I haven't been putting items over there. I just didn't see enough of a response to justify the time there. If you do good on Depop, definitely let us know in the comments. Let us know what you sell. So overall, from 2024 to 2025, they are very, very close. We did 253 in 2025 and we did 250 in 2024. So we increased by 3,000, but that is not anywhere near where I want to be. So hopefully that will increase in 2026. I know I said I'd talk about my goals on the next video, but honestly, I would love to have these numbers at 300,000 for the year as kind of a low point between all of them. And that will be kind of my main goal for 2026. Right, so before we pop into eBay, look at the specific numbers on eBay so you can see the fees, I want to talk just a little bit about why I think numbers didn't increase. So if you've been watching me, you might or might not know, in 2024 in summer, I went through a separation. I went through a divorce that was final in October 2024. And it was just a really hard time. There was a lot of transition. I have Dalton, so I was kind of dealing with him and the difficulty of change in the family dynamic. So I am happy with what I did in 2024, considering what all I had to go through. It was a very, very difficult time for all of us in 2024. And the reason that I think that 2025 was not that much improvement is because I was dating. So I was a little too busy chasing boys to be listing. And those numbers have really increased the past few months. I've had a steady boyfriend, so I'm not, you know, trying to date and trying to find Mr. Right and all of that stuff. So my business has got back on track. I've been able to concentrate on it more. I have also been going to the gym for almost 2 years now. I'm down 90 pounds, which I'm really proud of. But earlier this year, I was going swimming 5 days a week and I had to make myself stop because I wasn't listing enough. And that extra hour that I was spending swimming, I could spend listing. And that is what I've done. So I think that has also contributed to me being able to get my sales up at the end of the year, because the mid point of the year, I will say like March through July, October, or July, August was really, really low. Some of the lowest months we've seen in years. And I think it's because I was too busy, not concentrating on work, to be completely honest with you. So I love that being a full-time reseller, it gives us the opportunity to be able to do that stuff if we want, but I really am trying to focus more on my business and doing what I need to do. And if you're a full-time reseller, you know, you have to be self-motivated. You have to kick yourself in the butt. And for a few months there, I wasn't doing it. But I am back on track. I'm really happy with where we have been going. And I'm going to go ahead. Let's take a look at eBay. I'll show you exactly how much I paid in fees. The numbers will surprise a lot of you, I am sure. because what I pay in eBay fees is more than a lot of people's salaries. I give eBay a lot of money, and I don't mind giving them that. I do want to preface this with that because eBay brings me millions of customers. They bring the traffic and they get the sales for me. So I am not complaining at all about how much I paid them. It is well worth it to have the sales and income that I do. So let's go ahead and take a look. I wanted to show you guys real quick where you go to find this, just in case you didn't know. So you'll go to My eBay Selling, and this is your seller hub. You'll click on performance, and then you'll click on sales. That is how I got to where I am at to show you now. And I did choose this year compared to the same period last year. And here you can see, and I'm recording this on the 30th, so we're a day short on the year total, but we've done 152,670, which is 7% less than it was last year. And it's telling me how much were collected in tax by eBay. My selling costs were $55,000. And my net sales were 87,000. So of that 152,000, 87,000 came back to me, and I will show you the breakdown. And I would say my cost was probably about $20,000 on the items that were sold, which leaves me with about $67,000, which is not horrible, but I do have an employee. However, again, we also had quite a bit of sales on the other platforms as well. Now, you can see we sold 3,123 items. That's down almost 19%. But our average sales price is $48.89. That I am very, very proud of because my goal is 50, and it is up 14.6% from the year before. Now, auction sales were down. I didn't run as many auctions. And you can see, again, the fixed price sales were down as well. Here you can see the sales by category, which for us, we're an everything seller. So this is really not overly insightful to us, but the most sales that we had in one category was in gift boxes, and that was our empty designer boxes. So we sold $7,000 in designer boxes this year, which was actually down by 46%. And that's because it's been 2 years now. So we did almost 15,000 on them in 2024. And then we sold necklaces and pendants. We're up by 176%. I have really been concentrating on jewelry, so I'm really excited with that. We did pretty well with handbags, 5,000, but that's down 12% from 2024. But look at the jewelry and watches. Our brooches was an increase of 141%. And our necklaces and pendants in fine jewelry was up also by 44%. Now, it will give me more categories. I'm not going to go into it. Again, you see how low a percent of sales it is. That's just because we sell such a big variety. Here you can see the graph with the line is from 2024. So January, February, March, April, May were all lower in 2025 than they were in 2024. And they were quite a bit lower. And like I said, that was me not behaving and not doing what I should. Now, it started here in June, it went up. July and August were down again. But here's where I started getting kind of serious about it again. September, October, November are all higher. December is just a little bit lower. So our item sales were 112,000. Shipping and handling was $30,000. And the taxes and government fees, which is kind of a wash. It's collected by eBay. It's paid by eBay. This is the breakdown of our selling costs. So 55,477 was what our selling costs were. So that is 36.3% of our sales. And now that is an increase of 0.4%. Over here, you can see that the eBay fees are 61% of those costs, and the shipping labels are 39% of those costs. Now it's going to break it down here a little bit more. The final value fees, which is what anybody would get charged, were $20,325, which is 36% of my selling cost. And my ad fees, which is my promoted listings, was 27% of my selling costs. So I spend quite a bit on promoted, but I don't feel I would get the volume of sales I do without doing that. Now, that is a personal preference. I had it up to 15% at one time when my sales were low. I've got it back down to now it is 10%, and my goal is to get it to 6%. Now, if you don't already know, there is a absolutely horrible change coming to eBay starting this month, where if any buyer clicks on a promoted listing, they're going to charge you the fee, even if the buyer who bought it did not click on it, which I think is very, very unfair. But I don't think it's unfair enough that I'm going to stop promoting, but I'm pretty much going to have to figure that I'm going to have that promoted fee on every sale, which is why my goal is to get it down to 6%. Now we are going to take a look at Poshmark, which is at 18,500. We sold 532 listings, and you can see here compared to the prior period. So a lot, it's these months again. So in January, though, we kicked butt on Poshmark, but February, March, those were both lower this year than last year. However, we did better. The majority of the months, except for August on Poshmark, were actually increased. So not really many complaints by Poshmark. And then if we look at our net earnings, though, you can see that it goes down quite a bit. So Poshmark takes 20%, which actually eBay is more when I use the promoted. And there are some other cool things that you can see. And what I'm on here is my closet insights. If you click on your picture on Poshmark, you can click on my sales, and then there's a button that says my closet insights. If you are selling a lot of branded items, the brand insights can help. For us, again, like I was saying with eBay, we sell so much different stuff. It's just not necessarily much help for us. Vintage is what I use for non-branded items. That is our highest. Then Louis Vuitton, Nike, Swarovski, Tiffany & Co, Coach. So, I mean, it does let me know what's selling on Posh, but for us selling so much, it really doesn't give us a ton of help. However, if you're selling mostly branded stuff, this would be a really, really valuable tool. This part I think is really, really valuable to share with you. And that's the fact that 68.49% of our sales came from offers. If you're not sending offers or accepting offers, that will severely diminish your sales, in my opinion. People want a deal. Buy it now was 28.6%. We only had 2% were bundles, and at less than 0.5% of bundle buy it now. So make sure you're sending offers, and List Perfectly has an automatic offer option that you can use on Poshmark, which is what I do. And I send out offers of 20% off. I wanted to show you this. I think it's cool. It shows how many published listings you've had. So I've listed 10,000 items on Poshmark this year. And I did put to compare it to the last year. So the crazy thing is, look, in June, I listed 1,500 items, July 16, August 16. So almost 1,600 every month, 1,100 in November. And it's saying I only listed 355 in December, which I feel like is wrong, but maybe I've been slacking. I don't feel like I've been slacking that much, but maybe I have. So we have 9,800 available listings and almost $500,000 in inventory listed on Poshmark. Now, I will tell you that that's 1,000 more than we have on eBay. So I have 1,000 items that I need to find on Poshmark and end them because they have already sold and didn't get caught and didn't get ended. Moving over to Mercari for the last year, you can see our revenue was 4,500, profit was 3,900. Our average sales price on Mercari is low, 27.65 compared to almost 50 on eBay, and sell-through rate is 1%, search click-through is 2%. Again, Mercari is one of our lower platforms, so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with it or not. I wanted to finish off with Etsy, and I'm not sure how to see the values like I did on eBay, but I told you guys in 2024, I didn't really list on Etsy, and then in 2025, I have. So our visits were 27.9 thousand. Our revenue was 10,400, and our increase in visits was 272%. And hopefully this keeps going up, because if you see here, September, October, November, December, our visits have just went up, up, up. So hopefully we will do quite a bit more business on Etsy this year. All right, so that was the breakdown. Reality is a lot of it goes to fees, but it is still worth doing, and it's definitely worth cross-posting. And I haven't really pushed this perfectly in this video, but if you're not cross-posting, do it. You saw the sales and analytics tab. They have meetings, mastermind meetings every morning with my friend Trish. They talk about different topics. You can kind of bounce your ideas off and ask questions from other resellers. It's just a very, very valuable tool in our business. It is the #1 tool that we use. So if you're not using it, you can definitely try it. You can use my code, the Nurse Flipper. You'll get 30% off the first month. And for us, that cross posting this year resulted in about $42,000 more dollars in sales. So we are paying $99 a month, so $1,200 for the year into $42,000 more in sales. I think it's very, very well worth it. And if you're listing enough, it will make an incredible, incredible difference in your business. Now, none of those other platforms are anywhere near eBay, and that is how it's been for years. I would love it if Etsy would, pop up, or Poshmark, to get close to the eBay numbers. That would be a wonderful thing. It just has not happened. And I think it's just because of the variety of items I sell. eBay is wider audience for me, as well as selling international there. We do sell international on Etsy as well. So definitely consider cross-posting if you aren't. And again, I will put out a video with my goals for you here in a couple days. You will see that. I don't have a list. I'm going to break it to you. I'm just going to kind of talk with you like I did on this one. And a lot of people complain about the fees, but having your own website costs tons of money to run, to get the traffic, and I have no complaints with paying the fees. The key to all of this is buying low. You make your money on the buy. You don't make it when you sell the item. If you pay too much, you're not going to have the profit after those fees. So just remember that. I wish you all a very, very happy new year. I hope it's prosperous for all of us, and I will see you on the next one.